Good morning to you all here. Happy Friday, the last Friday of June, June 27th, 2025. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. And we're going to start things off with the tropics here as we have our third area to watch this year of the Atlantic hurricane season, an area that's actually a little bit concerning here as we are starting to see convection initiate here close to home. I want to say close to home, more in terms of near Mexico here. But we are going to have to watch this area of thunderstorms and convection. It has a very low chance of becoming a named storm by the end of this weekend, going into next week here. We're going to see this blob of convection work across the Mexico here, the Cancun area here, and then eventually it's going to sit down here in the southern Gulf. And a lot of the times when we get these storms that sit down here and barely move, they can develop even though they've got a low chance of developing. So we're going to have to watch this very closely as we get into Sunday and Monday and into next week here, going into the 4th of July week. I don't expect this to go anywhere near the United States. You guys are probably going to see some people out there that fearmonger and do social media monetizing and stuff like that are going to say this is going to the Gulf. I'm here to tell you it's not going into the United States. It's not whatsoever. This is more than likely going to stay down here near Cancun, stay down here near Mexico, kind of fizzle out. Like I said, the National Hurricane Center giving it a 10% chance of developing in the next 2 days, a 20% chance in the next 7 days. If they do see signs of anything changing or increasing, we'll let you guys know. We'll start to talk about it in streams and in future videos here. But as of right now, this is not expected to go anywhere near Texas or anywhere near the Gulf Coast. This will be staying down near Mexico, and eventually this will probably fall apart once it gets into there, even though the water temperatures are very supportive. You want to see, when you see a strengthening tropical wave or a tropical depression trying to develop here, you typically see low pressure drop, and right now we're not seeing that. We'll watch that over the next couple of days, though, but a pretty big blob of convection. If you're over here near Cancun, over here near Mexico, in between here, you are going to see a pretty rainy, disgusting weekend. Tropical downpours, heavy rain will be a problem, and then eventually as we go into early next week, this will trickle into the southern Gulf, where we could see that development chance potentially happen going into early next week. Now, we'll let you guys know going again into next week. We will be gone on vacation next Wednesday through the following Monday, July 2nd through July 7th. We'll be in Ohio, hanging out with friends and family for the 4th of July holiday season here. So there won't be content, there won't be videos, but as expected, like I said, I don't expect this to do anything, and if it does, we'll keep you guys updated. I'll try to get some type of video format out to you guys while we're on the road, but if not, we'll be back once we get back from vacation with that there. We are also watching another tropical system here, Invest 95. We'll be watching this. This will eventually develop in what will probably be our next hurricane going into early next week as well. We'll have to watch this as it hugs the coast of Mexico and kind of goes out here and becomes a fish storm. Other than that, tropical-wise, we got a couple more waves out here that we're going to have to watch. We really got to start paying attention to these waves going into July and going in August, because these waves actually will develop more times than not. So another wave out here well out to into the central portions of the Atlantic, and then another wave coming off the coast of Africa. Believe it or not, this tropical wave that we've got that's in the Caribbean/Gulf right now actually made its way from Africa over the last 7 days and made its way all the way here. So we have to watch these waves when they do come across, because they sometimes can develop. So if something does change with this area of development, I'll let you guys know in future videos. We'll keep you guys updated on that. The main severe, or the new main topic today, once again, is going to be severe weather. That we do have another risk for severe weather from the southeast all the way up to the Great Lakes here. Another bigger severe weather shot, an upgraded potential chance coming here for our risk zones up here in the Dakotas. I would not be shocked to see the Storm Prediction Center upgrade to a level 3 enhanced risk at some point here in the future. With today, large hail damaging winds up to 90 miles per hour are possible again, and a couple of tornadoes are possible as well. We'll kind of talk about what that's going to look like here in just a second here. Outside of that, though, more convection ongoing across the Central Plains. General thunderstorms moving through Missouri, moving through Kansas, moving through Oklahoma, upper level low up into Canada, moving in to help set up today's severe weather threat, and a system up in the northeast bringing some rain showers to the Ohio River Valley in the northeast later on this afternoon. Now, let's talk about what's going to happen today, because today's a little bit more interesting. We do have, once again, a destructive wind threat across the state of Nebraska, portions of western Minnesota, North Dakota, and South Dakota. A tornado threat as well. A strong tornado can't be ruled out today. We've also got the threat for extremely large hail. So, got a lot of things on the board today. Like I said, I would not be shocked to see the Storm Prediction Center upgrade to a level 3 enhanced risk in the next future update, which will probably be in the next hour or two. So, it won't be in this video. If something changes, I'll let you guys know. And then a slight risk over here for Detroit, Michigan for a wind threat, and an isolated tornado threat that extends all the way down here into Florida. So, we'll keep you guys updated on that here. The tornado risk today is a 2% to 5% within a 25-mile radius of the given location, so we need to be mindful here from northern Nebraska up to South Dakota and North Dakota for a tornado. Couldn't even rule out a strong tornado isolated in some of these areas today. We'll talk about why that is here in a minute. Wind threat is also interesting. We do have a 15% hatched wind threat for winds up to 90 miles per hour. That is destructive winds from Bismarck, North Dakota, all the way down to Valentine, Nebraska. Outside of that, a 15 and a 5% for winds up to 70, and the same applies over here from that slight risk in Detroit all the way down here to Florida, where winds could exceed up to 60 to 70 miles per hour. Also looking at a hatched hail threat today, hail could exceed 2 inches in diameter. We could be seeing hail 2 to 3 plus inches in diameter from North Dakota all the way down to northern Nebraska. Outside of that, in the 15 and the 5, we have a 1 to 2 inch hail ratio today. So that is today. We'll have more talk about what that's going to look like here in just a moment. We get to tomorrow, another risk zone again for the northern plains here in the central plains and the upper Midwest. Another level 2 slight risk at play. This time it's going to be from Minneapolis, Minnesota, back down here into northern Nebraska, eastern South Dakota, central South Dakota, and northern portions of Iowa. Here we've got a tornado risk, a wind threat, and a hail threat again. Marginal risk outside of that, with another marginal risk along the East Coast here again for what will be a wind threat again going into tomorrow. We do have a small 2% tornado risk. Tomorrow's tornado risk may not be too vigorous. We'll talk more about this later on in tomorrow's video as well, and in a stream this afternoon if we do have one. I will let you guys know we don't plan on having a stream right now. We've got some stuff we've got to get done today, but if we do have a stream, that'll be later on this afternoon. Just a heads up to my people that live on the upper plains there. We might be on. It just depends on what happens later on this afternoon for us. But 2% tornado risk for tomorrow, going into Duluth, going into Minneapolis, going into the northern portions of Minnesota. Wind threat at 15 and 5% for winds up to 70, and the hail threat is 15 and 5 as well. So we'll keep you guys updated on your threat for tomorrow. And then going into your Sunday, we have another risk here for a slight risk from Marquette, UP, Michigan, all the way down here to southeastern portions of Minnesota and Wisconsin, where we've got a level 2 slight risk and a marginal risk. Outside of that, general thunderstorm risk outside of that as well down here into the other green shaded areas. So we'll keep you guys updated on that. We could see some severe weather trickle into early next week, going into Monday, going into Tuesday, into the southeast and east coast here. But as of right now, that's a little bit uncertain. So we'll kind of wait to see what SPC does. But I will let you guys know as we get into early next week to mid next week, we will start to see that severe weather trickle down as a high pressure system builds in the northern plains, allowing for our jet stream to basically diminish. So we'll talk more about that here in just a minute. Here's a rough estimate of what we can see today. Remember, these are a little bit harder to predict when we have these capped environments or these discrete cell days. So we are going to see supercells fire off around 5 to 6 p.m. this afternoon here across North Dakota, South Dakota, getting into Nebraska. Eventually by around 11 p.m. to midnight tonight, those will grow upscale into a cluster of storms. We could see a pretty significant wind threat develop with this. Even though this is not a big line of storms like we had last week where we had that big derecho that came through, this could still produce some winds up to 90 miles per hour moving into Minnesota, moving into eastern and northern Dakota and South Dakota here. So something to be mindful of. Another area to watch here is when these cells first initiate around 4 or 5 p.m. this afternoon, we could see a couple strong tornadoes given the wind shear that'll be in place this afternoon. You can see those little isolated discrete tick marks there. Down here towards South Dakota and northern Nebraska, it's a little bit more capped out, so we'll have to see if storms can initiate in that environment. But if they do, all modes of severe weather will be possible. And then by midnight to early tomorrow morning, that line of storms will be moving into Wisconsin. It'll be weakening, and then we'll do it all over again tomorrow, where we'll have more clusters of showers and storms, severe weather ongoing with all modes of severe weather possible again tomorrow afternoon. Same thing applies. Capped environment with a cap environment breaking in some areas, giving us severe weather again. We'll kind of talk about why that is and what that looks like in tomorrow's video for tomorrow as well. Another thing to look at here is going to be those tornado parameters. We can see those higher tornado parameters down here in South Dakota, so not quite up here where we've got those cells initiating. But if we do get a storm that initiates in this environment down here, especially in South Dakota, we could see a strong tornado at play. That's where I think that conditional strong tornado risk is at play for later on this afternoon here. And eventually, as that cluster of storms develops and moves eastward, that tornado threat will weaken. And then we go to tomorrow, and we have once again another boundary in place where we could see strong tornadoes tomorrow again if storms can develop in that southern quadrant here of southern Minnesota and eastern South Dakota, where we do in fact think storms will initiate at tomorrow. We could see a stronger tornado risk at play once again for tomorrow. So just something to be mindful of going through tomorrow and going through today. Low level wind shear will be increasing each day as the evening progresses, as our troughing comes in. So just something to be mindful of. If you are in these areas, be weather aware, have alerts on your phones, know where to go when you get warnings, all of that, etc. here. I will hop over just briefly to the Michigan corridor here so we can talk about you guys. We do have severe storms expected up in the Detroit area today. A couple clusters of storms after 5 p.m. or not after 5 p.m. Sorry, after 3 p.m. this afternoon. Eastern time, we could see some clusters of some wind and some hail out there, maybe a brief spin up tornado. But other than that, wind and hail from the Detroit area moving through most of Michigan and out of here by 7 p.m. Clusters of thunderstorms from the Ohio River Valley down to the southeast. Not going to be too much of an issue other than isolated wind and hail threats for you guys down there. And then we'll talk more about tomorrow, like I said, in tomorrow's video here. Now, let's talk about our global pattern and what we're going to be seeing here over the next couple of days here. And like I said, zonal flow is what we're seeing right now. Most of the United States underneath a ridge, allowing for there could be some general thunderstorms in and around this area here, as we see a little low pressure system in Florida still kind of spinning here, allowing for spin up of our moisture to be pulled north. Like I said, most of our severe weather is going to hang up here into the northern high plains and the northern Midwest going into the weekend here. And then going into your Sunday, we start to see a pattern change, especially going into next week as well. Early next week, getting ready for the 4th holiday, we do see more of a zonal to a meridional flowing jet stream as we go towards next Monday and Tuesday, we can see that high pressure developing over here in the plains, which is going to ultimately lead to what's going to be a quieter 4th of July, hopefully for some people. There will be some cooler temperatures and a little bit of some thunderstorm activity on the eastern side of that ridge where that troughing happens at going into Tuesday and Wednesday, where we could see some low and severe weather. And then we go into the Wednesday and Thursday time period here, and we do still see a little bit of troughing up atop of the high plains, the Midwest here, but I don't think this is going to be too much to like ruin anybody's 4th of July plans. There still will be a cold front attached to this where we could see some thunderstorms out there, just be spotty thunderstorms, mostly during the afternoon as the evening progresses, and then overnight, hopefully we'll see that, limit potentially would be the good thing to see. And then we go into the 4th of July holiday, and there could be more of an organized severe weather threat potentially for the 4th of July up into Minnesota, Wisconsin. We'll have to see how that plays out as we go into the early portions of next week. And then after that, things to become a little bit more uncertain in terms of what we're going to see going into the 2nd and 3rd week of July. But it does look to be that we see more active zonal jet stream or meridional jet stream return once we get into the past the July 4th holiday. So we'll keep you guys updated on that there. Another thing just to kind of look at here, general scattered thunderstorms and showers going through the weekend here for much of the viewing area. More organized threat for the Midwest going into Monday and Tuesday here. And then eventually by Wednesday and Thursday, you'll start to see things clear out mostly. Then by Friday, the 4th of July gets here, and we see mostly things clearing out. Could see some showers and thunderstorms up in the Midwest for the 4th, back down here in the high plains and Rockies as well, seeing some thunderstorms. But that's typical for this time of the year when we get those elevated lows that move over top of certain areas with shear in place. So just something to be kind of mindful of there. I don't expect really any washouts going into the weekend for a lot of people unless you're in those severe weather areas going into the high plains and the upper Midwest. But other than that, guys, we'll have a live stream potentially on standby today. If you guys don't see me today, you'll see me in tomorrow's video. We're getting very busy as we're getting ready for our vacation next week as well. So I'll try to have as many updates as I can for you guys. As always, be safe, be weather aware, and we'll see you guys in the next one. And have a wonderful weekend, everyone.